Welcome to Your Health Today with Dr. Charlie Rouse. Your Health Today is presented by Modexus, a natural health and opportunity company connecting people, products, and prosperity, and by the Medicine Man's Corner, home of the Medicine Man, Dr. Charlie Rouse. And now, here's the host of Your Health Today, Chris Hall.
Well, welcome to Your Health Today with Dr. Charlie Rouse. I'm Chris Hall, your host. Good to have you all joining us today. And of course, it's good to have Dr. Charlie Rouse. Always good to have Dr. Rouse joining us, talking about all that God has provided on the shelf of creation to help us to live strong and healthy lives. And our God certainly is good, and He has provided for us in many different ways. But Dr. Rouse, in creation, when God put all this together and created it all, He gave us a little hint in the Word of God that, hey, look around at what I have provided in creation and utilize it for our good health, right?
Amen to that. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Yeah. And right there in that same book, Chris, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, God says, the seed of the herb is for your food. Psalm 104, verse 14, God says, the herb is for the service of man. God said it. Yeah. That settles it.
There you go. And we've been trying to decipher all of the good things that God has provided for a long time. You know, sometimes people think, well, you know, natural medicine, what we talk about, natural things. Well, that's a newcomer, you know, that's something that's kind of new. But actually, it's the pharmaceutical side that is new, because the natural medicine, the ingredients that you talk about, these have been around for since the time of creation, getting these things together and knowing how good they can help us. Of course, we need pharmaceuticals. Thank God for the technology that has produced medicine that helps us in many different ways. But always, I think for me, the first choice I want to look at when I need something maybe to supplement myself or to give me a little extra boost or to deal with a health issue, I want to see what God has created and what God has provided. And I know you feel the same way, right?
Amen to that. You know, in the book of Revelation, the last book, Prophecy, God mentions pharmacopoeia, the pharmacy. He actually uses the word pharmacopoeia in the original Greek language. And did you know that when they translated pharmacopoeia into the abuse side of pharmacy, that in the latter days, in the end days, at the end times, God's word says that the world would escalate in the abuse of pharmacopoeia. In other words, he said that it would become a sinister apothecary, that the drugs would become the enemy. And wow, when you look at all the physical, mental, emotional abuse that people use with addictive medications, right. It's because we've gotten so far away from the sinner standard. And if you get back to God, you find that, wow, that's where the real research is. Chris, there are more research documentations on each individual natural medicine than all the pharmaceutical drugs combined. Yeah. And the reason for that in PubMed, 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 just in one nutrition alone, we mentioned it numerous times on the podcast, glutathione, which is a vegetable natural medicine that comes from a vegetable. And it's 3 basic amino acids that are designed by God to enhance the immune system. And did you know that there are well over thousands, I'm talking about thousands of double-blind medical clinical studies just on glutathione. Yeah. I've been a big fan of glutathione for decades just because of the medical research. As a pharmacist, I look at the bottom line. I look to see who did the research and what it's all about. And whenever we build a nutritional natural medicine, we go right to the research and we bring in only the highest quality herbs that the research had actually been done on, and we match it milligram for milligram. We don't deviate. We don't move away from science. So natural medicine is definitely full of science.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, I'm wearing my Braves hat today as we are recording this particular program. The Braves are in the World Series, of course, and you and I are big Braves fans. One of the requests that I have is let's start these games like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because we don't get over till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And if you're a working kind of guy, that's kind of hard to take. But that's, it's been cutting into my sleep time. But hey, I've been a Braves fan since they moved to Atlanta. So anyway, that aside, that's why I'm wearing my hat today. And of course, also
come back to that, Chris.
Yeah.
You made a very important statement. Here we are, used to going to bed at a decent hour.
Yeah.
And then when the excitement of the moment, or people that are on night shifts and they really can't go to bed when you and I go to bed, right, they scream out for, can I improve the quality of my sleep on that particular night? And melatonin is what Dr. Charlie uses. For years, 3 milligrams was all sufficient and totally adequate. But I went to my physician the other day for a physical checkup, and he said, Charlie, he said, do you know that right now I physically, as a doctor, am taking 30 milligrams of melatonin? That blew my mind. I
wow.
said,
Okay.
30 milligrams. I've been taking 3. That must be like a baby dose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the clinical research is out there. He said it particularly improves the immune system, and the older we are, the more improvement we get. So from that day forward, I went back home and swapped my 3 milligrams for a 10 milligrams.
Gotcha.
And now Dr. Charlie takes 10 every day. And anyhow, if the Braves win or lose, and hopefully on the Georgia side, we'll see a victory. If and when they win, we can sleep better with melatonin.
There you go. Well, I tell you, these games have been amazing, and we love it. And having a release, just always keeping your nose to the grindstone and dealing with the stress of life. And life, there's added stresses these days of gas prices going up, grocery prices going up, and still dealing with the after effects of the pandemic and things like that. It's good to have a release and something that you can, I guess, amusement, which means the word itself means not thinking. It's good to have something to distract you. And that's a good thing every now and then. I would encourage people. I always encourage people, especially my brother pastors. I tell them, look, you need some time off. I mean, even Jesus took the disciples aside for some time off. You need some time off. You need some kind of hobby, some kind of thing that you enjoy just to get away and let the release go. And that's important, isn't it? I mean, it really is. One of the things I do is I play golf. I'm not very good at it. I'm no threat to the PGA Tour by any means, but that's just a release. I get out in the sunshine, have good fellowship, and so that is important for people to just say unloose themselves a little time from what's going on, isn't it?
It is. It very much so is. And back during when Corona first started, I was on a 7-day schedule, couldn't get a break. It was just like, wow, we're being overwhelmed with people that are wanting to look after their physical health. And the Lord just spoke to me, and my wife and I were able to arrange it to where we were able to hire an additional employee, put it on our payroll. And I now take off Thursdays and Fridays purposefully just to detox the stress molecule. And you made a biblical but a very important statement there. I think the word amusement itself, amuse means not to think.
Right.
And sometimes we just get into hey, I'm not going to think about, that kind of amusement can get us over into the la land.
Yeah.
But if we get right with God and if we just let God give us our, whatever it is, our release. And in your case, a good birdie putt can release a whole month's worth of frustration right then.
A birdie putt? What is a birdie putt?
A birdie putt. Well, hey, esteem others greater than yourself. And I enjoy watching Chris and his son, Matthew just knocked that ball right in that hole. They're good. They know how.
Well, we try.
They got this great big old putter. It must be about this big as my head.
The bigger, the better.
And they just, I said, woo, isn't that smooth?
Yeah.
Now, back in natural medicine, we realized a long time ago, Chris, that anxiety and stress were two enemies of the human body. It raises your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your immune system goes south. And what we found was that when people take anxiety and stress support, it's one of the all-natural nutritionals that I formulated. And in that herbal natural medicine is just simple herbs that God created in the food supply. And had you been eating your fruits and vegetables like you should have without the high sugar induction or the over fat stuff, just a normal good meal, your immune system and your nervous system would have been good. But because most people don't eat right, Dr. Charlie puts together anxiety and stress support. And if you get clinched in that choke 'em down time, that one nutrition within just a matter of minutes can relieve some of that stress and at least then help you to relax enough to go enjoy that golf game.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the after effect. There are pharmaceuticals for stress and anxiety, but sometimes, they have things on the after effect side that, you don't want to really have in your life. I love what God provides because generally it doesn't have those side effects and those after effects. It's just good, clean production that God has made. By the way, you mentioned having a doctor's appointment. I have a doctor's appointment today. It's that time of the year to go see one of my doctors. And by the way, for anyone, sometimes when you call the doctor and say, hey, I'd like to see the doctor, they'll say, well, let's look at the schedule here. Oh, yeah, we have an opening like 4 months from now or something like that, and the way things are. The good thing about Dr. Rouse is that if anybody wants to contact Dr. Rouse and just ask you a question or talk with you about things, you're very accessible. And you encourage people to call. Now, it doesn't mean, they might connect with you the very moment they call, but they'll get on the list. And I know how, studious you are and you realize how important it is to stay in contact with people. So if anyone would like to call Dr. Rouse, maybe you don't live in the Albany, Georgia area, you live somewhere else, but you sure would love to talk with Dr. Rouse about something maybe going on in your life or in the life of your family, some kind of question you have about something, they can get in contact with you. One of the ways is through email, drrouse@att.net. Now, you spell all of that out, drrouse@att.net. You can contact Dr. Rouse there. You can also call the Medicine Man's Corner, and Sweet Holly probably will answer the phone, or maybe some of the other ladies. And they'll take your name and put you on the list. And Dr. Rouse, I know, he'll try to get back to you just as soon as he can. Now, he's a very busy fellow. When I stop in, you're doing this, that, and the other, and running here, there, and yon, and I know that. But anybody who wants to talk to Dr. Rouse can call 229, that's the area code, 436-0100. And while we're at it, we want to thank Modexus The Medexus is a wonderful company that has provided some products, some natural support products that, they're a great supporter of our program. And you can check out those products at powerofpurple.info. That's powerofpurple.info. And we'll have a little bit of, more information about that in just a moment here on our program. Well, Dr. Rouse, we've talked about anxiety and stress support. I actually had a question. Sometimes people will see me and they say, "Hey, aren't you that guy on that show with that doctor?" And I'll say, "Well, yeah, I'm the cohort. I don't have the knowledge or the degree." But I did have somebody ask me about cholesterol. And they're having some issues with cholesterol, and it seems to be, in their particular case, it seems to be generational. Their father had high cholesterol problems, which produced some health problems. Grandfather, and it seems to be genetically handed down to them. And they say, well, I don't want to have to deal with this. It's created problems in my family before. And they asked me about a natural way of having cholesterol support. And I said, well, you watch the next program and I'll ask that question to Dr. Rouse. So Dr. Rouse, when somebody comes into the Medicine Man's Corner there in Albany, Georgia, and they say, "Hey, what about cholesterol support? What do you talk to them about? What do you suggest for them?"
All right. And hey, they did some clinical research to see why some were thinking it was genetic versus why some got away with their DNA and their genes. They found out that we're all created by God in the same way, and we all have the same liver enzymes and the same DNA to take care of cholesterol. So it wasn't genetic so much as the genetic side was that we learn from mama and papa what we eat and don't eat.
Right.
And sometimes in the biscuit factory or whatever we grew up with, it might have been that famous pasta dish that we want twice a week. Anyhow, the bottom line was that our lifestyle was our basic reason for cholesterol elevation. And what happens in metabolism, in the metabolic syndrome of the whole human body, is that it all boils down to how the body utilizes sugar. And that little cell is designed by God that when insulin comes in, to go in there and burst loose the energy, burn up the sugar and go. But if that insulin is resisted, that's called insulin resistance. Elevation of cholesterol, fatty liver occurs, and the whole conglomeration begins to get discombobulated. So the key, obviously, is drastically cut back on refined white sugar. And then while you're thinking white out, not only white out the white out refined sugar, be very cautious about refined white flour. I mean, it's in everything. They make practically any and everything we like to eat out of refined white sugar. I'm not saying don't sugarize or flourize your diet. I'm just saying we've gone beyond the excess. So curtailing pulls in. Now, in the world of prescriptions, they have a plethora of ways to correct that high level, but the negative effects are definitely there, and people usually get caught between, a difficult situation where, it's affecting my heart, it's affecting my muscles, it's affecting my liver. They say that it may give me cancer, so they say, no, give me something else. And then in the world of natural, we use a wax, W-A-X, from a honeybee. And out of the hive of the honeybee is a polycosanol, a complex wax that the bee, by God, creates and manufactures and puts in the honeycomb. And from that wax, we're able to extract the polycosanol, put it in a capsule, swallow it down the goozle, and the next thing you know, the HDL, good cholesterol, goes up, the LDL goes down, the triglycerides get better, and there never was a necessity for a prescription drug. So it's all natural, and it works.
Yeah,
and guess what? It works. When somebody like Chris, he's going to the doctor today for his physical, and the first thing they're going to do is draw a pint or 2 or 3 of blood,
Yes, they are.
And they're going to look to see if it's still red, if it's still clean, if it's still good. And there it is. They're going to look at his A1C, that's his sugar level, and they're going to look at his VLDL, his very bad cholesterol level. And if those two rascals, if A1C is high and VLD is super high, they're going to say, you get another prescription drug. And Chris is going to say, but doctor, can I change my lifestyle?
Yeah.
He's going to say, cut the sugar, cut the flour.
Right.
And then he's going to say, doctor, can I try something natural? And he said, okay, I'll give you 8 weeks. And yes, if you use polycosanol for 8 weeks, the next time you have a blood test, it'll be remarkably improved because science has proven that point.
Yeah, I've been fortunate in that, in the fact I've never had an issue with cholesterol. Every now and then they'll call me and say, well, your blood reports this and you need to do that and the other. I hadn't had to deal with cholesterol. Now, is the product that like you have on the shelf, is that called cholesterol support? Is that the name of the product?
Hey, that'd be the perfect name for it. And that's exactly what we called it, cholesterol support. Now, listen, Chris says he's had no major issues with cholesterol. Well, back many years ago, when his gallbladder went to fussing and the doctor said it's coming out, Chris changed his lifestyle, what he eats and doesn't eat, and it all made a major influence for his better. So sometimes God takes away some of our negatives to give us the positive, but we say, thank you, Lord, for the good. And,
you mentioned, the white stuff, the sugar and the flour.
Ooh, there you go.
I've heard, people say, a whiteout diet, anything white, let's stay away from. Anything white, let's, stay away from. That's kind of hard to do in the world we live in, but it is something to think about. It seems that if it's white rice or, white bread or anything like that, it does have stuff that if you overdo it. Now, I know, you look for a balance and you say, well, you don't have to completely eradicate it, but just be very careful with it. But it seems as if the white stuff, it's there that if you overdo it and you're not careful with it, it can produce some problems, right?
That is right. Hey, let me grab a bag of something. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
What I'm going to do is read a label here in just a second.
Okay.
It comes from sometimes when we read the label over here and we say carbohydrates, 20 grams. First thing they say is, whoa, Charlie, you can't eat that. Now, wait a minute. White out, refined sugar. This is one of God's creations. And what that is a date. It's just a date from Israel. And dates and figs, they're high in carbohydrates, 20 grams. And you say, oh, that goes over my limit. Not with this. That's a different kind of sugar. Right. You could eat 3 dates right then and there, and exceed that 20 grams. But that kind of refined sugar is blocked by the fiber that God put in the date or the fig.
Yeah.
And what happens is you get all the sweet induction, all the delicious good, all the dessert necessity, and your blood sugars don't go up. You say, how can that be? A carbohydrate doesn't go up because that sugar in that date is different from that sugar in that teaspoon. And sometimes it's just a matter of learning. Now, if somebody is interested and medically needing a good counsel on what to eat, what not to eat, I have on my staff now an RN trained to teach people how and what to eat or not to eat. And her services are minimal dollar-wise. But I guarantee you that just say coming to school with her for, I think it's like 6 sessions, she will teach you in so many simple minutes the amazing ability to stay healthy. And I learned about this young lady. She's a Christian, and she was just so overwhelmed in her nursing work at all of her fellow Christians that were so unhealthy. And she took it on as a passion, as a ministry to help people to get well. And her time is valuable. She's not expensive at all. And if anybody does ever want to have good clinical, sound, doctrinal, biblical information on what to eat, what not to eat, they can call Holly at the Medicine Man, and we can share her email, her website, or her phone number, and they'll be on to the way. But anyhow, I personally believe that Jesus, when it came dessert time, I have a strong hunch he enjoyed the fig or the date.
Yeah, and that's not refined stuff. That's natural stuff. It's the refined. It's when man messes it up. I heard of someone say one time that, he says, look, I don't drink soda pops, I don't, because all that is water that man has messed up. I just stay with the water.
Well, that's what I got in my cup, just pure water.
Yeah.
I used to all day long just drink coffee, non-sweet coffee. But then I realized that if I had a choice between the coffee and the water, and I like the morning coffee, I've already had 2 good cups of solid coffee, but the rest of the day, I found that I can hydrate my body better with just pure dihydrogen monoxide. And, God created that H2O molecule. Hey, think about this, Chris. The H molecule, hydrogen, the hydrogen molecule, though it's invisible, tasteless, odorless, they tell us in science that they can blow up the world with a hydrogen bomb.
Yeah.
And oxygen, tasteless, odorless, and invisible, you go into a hospital room and they said, don't be lighting up a match in here, you'll blow us up. Highly flammable and totally destructive. But yet God can take the hydrogen molecule of the hydrogen bomb, the oxygen molecule of the explosive power of fire, combine the two together, H2O, and quench your thirst immediately. Only God can do that.
Only God can do that, indeed. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with one final note here on Your Health Today with Dr. Charlie Rouse as he enjoys his water. We'll be back in just a moment.
Your Health Today with Dr. Charlie Rouse. We'll be right back.
The beautiful world we live in is also a toxic world. Today, more than ever, people are dealing with increased fatigue, the effects of stress, weaker immune systems, and the fear of new and dangerous health threats that can potentially affect all of us, including those we love. The importance of staying healthy and building up and supporting our immune system and the immune systems of those we love is something that's on all of our minds. This is why it's so exciting to introduce a world-class immune system support breakthrough in an exciting, new, and easy-to-use product called Lonicera Longevity by Modexis. Lonicera Longevity's science-backed formula is an all-in-one comprehensive approach to enhancing the immune system, featuring one of nature's brightest stars, the Lonicera caerulea superberry. To help cleanse your body of toxins, Lonicera Longevity delivers powerful antioxidants, iridoids, C3Gs, and a first-to-the-market dual-form glutathione. Longevity also supplies key minerals and immune-building components like zinc, selenium, vitamin D3, and much more. Lonicera Longevity by Modexis is truly the breakthrough immune support formulation of our time. Go now to powerofpurple.info and get your free download of the Longevity Smart Sheet. And better yet, why not get started on your optimal health journey by ordering Longevity today? Visit now the website powerofpurple.info. That's powerofpurple.info. Start your Modexus experience today. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Welcome back to Your Health Today with Dr. Charlie Rouse.
All right, we're back here on Your Health Today with Dr. Rouse. And Dr. Rouse, another question that someone kind of sent me by email, in fact. And, I encourage them to get in contact with you, and they can do that. But, they say, okay, I'm getting older. I get a lot of older questions from older folks. They somehow identify with me. They say, I'm getting a little older, and I can't remember stuff like I used to. It seems like it takes longer for the computer in my mind to come up with a person's name, for instance, or to come up with some detail of something that I need to know about. And a lot of times, people are worried about, the fact, okay, I'm older now. Am I losing some, mental ability? Am I beginning to, lose some kind of cognitive ability? Of course, I try to assure them. I say, look, so much. So much is crammed up in your computer. It just takes longer for you to get to the fact that you need to find out, what it is. That's what I tell myself anyway. But, I guess as you get older, it would be helpful to have something sometimes to keep us sharp mentally. I know as a pastor, as a preacher, when I stand in the pulpit, I want to be sharp when it comes to thinking and communicating. And so if somebody comes in and says, Dr. Rouse, I want my memory to be a little better. I want my mind to work a little better. I want to be able to think a little sharper than I used to, have a little more mental alertness. If someone comes in and says, is there something natural that can help me with that? What would you share with them?
There is one specific nutrition that we always tell everybody. When your thinker don't thunk like it used to, and you do need to get rid of some of that fuzzy, cloudy in the brain, we use one amino acid. It's called serine, serine. Now, God created the brain with a myriad of neurotransmitters, but they're all built basically from amino acids. And the one amino acid that outshines all the other 20 amino acids is called serine. And they found in natural medicine, because most people want to just swallow it in a pill form, capsule. They couldn't get serine into the blood properly without the help of a phosphodiesterone, which means now the name of the product or the herbal is serine. It's a combination of two naturals to enhance the serine molecule. Now, at the Medicine Man, we made it real simple. Most people can't remember phosphatidylserine or phosphate.
Can't even say it.
So we said, okay, just write this down, because you won't remember it if you ain't thinking like you used to think. Right. Memory support.
Memory support.
And you know what Dr. Charlie put in that vitamin? Serine.
There you go.
Because we wanted your thinker to think better than it's ever thought.
Yeah. And people, I know a lot of times they might be driving or doing something else as they listen to our podcast, and they say, well, I wish I could remember that. Well, there is a place you can go always to connect with any of our podcasts, and that's yourhealthtodaypodcast.com. Beautiful website. And it has all of our programs. I don't know how many we have posted now, but it's a lot. But right there, and we have the topics listed, and they're all archived. And this is the latest. This, as we're doing this one, this will be the latest. So if you can't remember what Dr. Charlie says about memory, you can go to yourhealthtodaypodcast.com, and you can find out what Dr. Rouse has to say about memory and how to stay sharp. And Dr. Rouse, you mentioned 2 cups of coffee. That's what I do every morning. I do 2 cups of coffee. I tell people I drink it like John Wayne drinks it. I drink it just straight black. I don't know how John Wayne drank his coffee, but I imagine he did it just straight black. And then I drink water during the day. Very rarely do I every now and then I may get an unsweetened tea or something like that. But that's what I do. And I really do try to watch the sugar intake and that kind of thing. But that does not mean, however, that when the opportunity comes and there's a good piece of pecan pie sitting around somewhere, that doesn't mean Brother Chris won't get into one slice of pecan pie. I try to limit myself because one slice has about 8,000 calories in a South Georgia pecan pie. But it's okay every now and then, not to gorge out on something every day. But as you say, we need to have a balance. It's okay to enjoy life, to enjoy the good things. Just don't overdo it, right?
Amen. As long as your A1C and your LDL is telling you you're okay, you're okay. So keep on enjoying it.
There you go.
Chris, we appreciate your expertise on streaming because we're getting calls from all over the USA, and this podcast is very prevalent, and it's getting more popular because you are the captain of the ship, and we appreciate you, Chris. Thanks for getting us there.
I appreciate that. I was checking our statistics the other day, and we have a big following in Ghana. Who would have ever thought that you and I would have Ghana, which is, in Africa? I forget East or West Africa. I forget my geography. But who would have ever thought?
We buy two of our herbs from Ghana, so maybe there's a connection there.
Maybe there's a connection.
Moringa, and tiger nut. They call this powder tiger nut. And I said,
okay.
Hey, we got a Georgia peanut, but theirs is called tiger nut.
Hey, speaking of peanuts, boy, they're being gathered as we speak, as we do this program. Love that good smell from the peanuts, but you got to watch out for peanuts too, but it's good. All right, Dr. Rouse, thank you for joining us today. Good program today, good information. We love you. We appreciate all that you do for everyone. If you're ever in Albany, Georgia, let me give the address. The Medicine Man's Corner, 2416 Suite 4, Dawson Road, Albany, Georgia, 31707. Dr. Rouse would love to see you, and he'd love to talk with you, and it's a beautiful store. Thank you, Dr. Rouse. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for our program today. Your Health Today is a presentation of Modexus, a natural health and opportunity company connecting people, products, and prosperity. To download free product smart sheets and to order your Modexus experience, visit powerofpurple.info. That's powerofpurple.info. Your Health Today is presented by the Medicine Man's Corner, home of Dr. Charlie Rouse, the Medicine Man. You can visit the Medicine Man's Corner at themedicineman.com and on Facebook at the Medicine Man Corner. Your Health Today podcast can be found at yourhealthtodaypodcast.com. Join us again next time for Your Health Today with Dr. Charlie Rouse.